And that's...
Welcome, everyone, to the Shattered Isles. We are your co-GMs. I'm Cassi. This is Max. We are going to be telling the story of the Amber Falls as it travels back from Spindelhaven, back to the port of Kodrog in the Isle of Narak, where they are very excited to spend a lot of money. But first,
because we just went bank.
We'll do a quick recap.
Yeah, let's start with that recap.
What happened last episode, guys? I'll let you describe.
John?
Kodrog stayed completely out of trouble, and
That's a big fat lie.
no, last episode we rescued Larry.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
We rescued Larry from his own devices, devices and vices.
Yeah, both.
We had to track him down at a gambling hall and rescue him from a stick fight.
And how
Yeah.
and how did that
Don't
stick
even explain
fight,
that. Just leave it as a stick fight.
And how did that stick fight escalate near the end?
Oh, gosh, what were they, like, Void? Was it a Void Wraith, right?
Yeah.
Came in, and, we made quick work of it. It was, like, cutting butter with a hot knife, and nobody almost died.
Vapor Wraith.
Vapor Wraith, that's what it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's accurate.
Yeah.
That's pretty much, yeah.
And of course, Larry was ever so grateful for his rescue. It was wonderful. You guys did fantastic.
I think his first words were, "Oh man, I almost had him."
Yep.
Yep. And I think one of us promptly went, "No, you didn't."
Yeah.
I think what was funny is right after that combat, he was like, "All right, see you guys," and we were like, "Oh, fucking no, you're coming with us."
Oh yeah, I think that the trip back to the ship was the best part, because as he was trying to fly away, I jumped after him and very skillfully bound his hands together, and then we drug him back to the ship to deliver him to Arthur.
Also covered in like slime.
He did
because
not
of my
want to come
spell.
back. He was on a roll. He was gonna go back and, once he won that stick match,
Get his money back
and go gamble away again.
He'd be back on top of the world.
I do have one question for Thomas.
Yes.
How long is that portion of Spindelhaven going to be covered in fungi and moss?
From my understanding, it's going to be that area, and if it's not taken care of, meaning if they don't clean it out, it will continue to grow over natural time, but that's a slow progression. So if they don't do anything with it, it will grow.
Summoning magic in the Shattered Isles, or magic that alters the world that's not illusionary, is a permanent alteration.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're like, "Man, I'm hungry, mage, summon us a goat," you can do that. That goat is real.
That goat is real, and then you killed it.
Yep.
And then you ate it.
Yep.
It just got dark. It escalated.
Well,
Just saying, that's what magic is for.
I,
That's why you spent close to a decade going to school to be able to do this little thing.
to wave my fingers and go,
Poof, what do you need? Poof, what do you need?
well, my first words in my head of being like, magic. Think of something that you're going to say while casting something was shalom. And I know. If you guys haven't noticed, Paige is extremely tired. I had barely got sleep. I'm sorry. So I'm a little loopy. I got black tea. I'm good. I just...
Excellent. Well, the description, that is a really good description of what happened in the last game session. So,
Pretty much.
we're going to start off with the moving in. Do you want to be here when I start? Okay, so we got to fill like the next 30 seconds.
Cool.
Well, I mean, we can dive a little bit deeper into what happened.
Yeah.
So vapor wraiths, they're like, could I actually physically strike them? Because all I remember is breaking. Oh yeah, I broke Larry's chains, and told him to run because he's an insufferable ass. And
yeah.
And I think we just ran away from the vapor wraith. Did we even fight it?
I think I remember because I casted pretty much like a wind vocal spell to separate everybody. And that's pretty much when, like, I think one of us... I remember you actually trying to attack the Vapor Wraiths, and I think we ended up just running away from them at the end. But I think one of us was keeping them at bay, while the other one was like, you need to fucking move, Larry.
It was like, teamwork.
So, it was a lot of good teamwork. You guys definitely handled it properly.
Yes.
It could have gone really bad if dice rolls had gotten involved.
We bravely ran away.
I mean, there's as a mage that has, explosions. I think it's a good idea that we ran.
Yeah. I mean, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. So,
Yeah, I think we did good.
We covered our bases.
Yep. I'm assuming that Larry doesn't know that song.
No.
Not yet.
All right.
I'll teach it to him after his punishment.
So the ship is gathered of crew and supplies. What do we want to do?
We're starting here as they're leaving.
Right.
Well, you can do that, but I'm going to do this, and then we're going to...
Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to round it out and start.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
I'm going to round it out and start.
Take 2.
And then I will poke you in the leg when we transition. The ship is gathered of crew. The lines have been loosened for some sails, tightened for others. A small gathering of boats, tugboats, pushing boats, with the volatile explosions that come out the back end of them, have been summoned by the captain with a wave of his handkerchief and the jingle of his money purse. They zip over quickly and begin battering about the Amber Falls in a gentle way to begin moving you through the cluster or the traffic that surrounds Spindelhaven. Their efforts to move this massive vessel is amazing. It's like tiny little acrobats that are hopped up on white medicinal tea as these guys crazily drive, zipping in and out of dangerous locales.
Yeah, these elegant machines are great.
The sounds only remind you of Tuesday night after cooking, after dinner with whatever Cookie comes up with. But they do. They elegantly dance and move the Amber Falls farther and farther out of the trash, or move the trash or the other vessels out of the way, and she drifts. And at some point, wind begins filling the sails and dragging the Amber Falls along. The tiller sails are raised. Anne calls Kodrog to the back of the boat to begin assisting, because it is this time that he is learning. It is closer and closer to each step. But she's relentless as she yells each of her commands. She's loud enough to be heard from the front of the boat. The Amber Falls drifts gently away, and finally it clears the debris of all the ships and everything surrounding it, including the little island collections surround Spindelhaven, and catches the first big burst of trade winds and begins drifting off.
With all of the excitement of leaving Spindelhaven, it almost feels oppressive. There's a silence that is permeating the ship. Everyone works in silence. Everyone moves as almost as automated as they possibly can. There's not a lot of eye contact being made. It's like everyone is waiting for the other shoe to drop. Everyone knows what's going to happen, and some people might enjoy that moment when it does, but most of the crew members never really have had to experience what they're going to experience. And there's this nervous tension that keeps everyone heads down and working. As you pick up the trade winds, you see off in the distance, outside of the trade winds themselves, a lightning cloud. That's what we call it, right?
Yeah.
A lightning cloud, which is, for those of us who live in gravity, it's not quite like a thundercloud. It's more, it's very roundish in shape. It's got cloud-like features, but it's not made necessarily from vaporous water, as our clouds are normally. It's made from different various gases, and some of those gases happen to be combustible. And when those gases meet, what they call lightning, these small little pocketed explosions of light. Sometimes there's streaks, most of the time there's not. But inside of that cloud, it just looks like it glows everything up. I'm sure that everyone can visualize what the big thunderheads look like, and you don't ever see the lightning. It just lights up inside of that cloud. And that's what you all are seeing as you continue forth on the trade wind. And this is a big storm. It's big, it's dark, it's ominous. Thankfully, you're not going anywhere near it.
I was about to ask that.
But it does nothing to help with the mood of the ship.
It would be the thunderous cracks and explosions that can be heard and echo. And so when lightning runs through it, when we see lightning, and then you can start counting to see how far the cloud is from you. It's as Acid points out, it's a bad omen.
Yeah.
That is on the whisper of a few crewmen's lips.
Yes. Everyone's but Larry's.
Arthur stands at the front of the ship with his glass in hand.
Not quite.
Not yet?
Larry has a big fucking grin on his face. The ship has left port. They're away from, land. They're away from isles. And he said several times now since he realized that we're leaving, that means that he is not going to receive his punishment until we go back into port. He's thrilled by this.
He openly admits it to everyone. Guys, it's fine. They'll forget it by the time we get back to Isle. It'll be all good.
Yes, because as Larry describes, everyone knows.
Everyone knows.
Everyone knows that you don't dispense with punishment out in the open void, because that attracts the ghosts of all of the previously punished people who didn't quite make it.
Old ghost ships, ghost captains that pirate the trade winds or move up and down and whatnot. Pilot, yes. Not pirate. They're said to be attracted by the screams of someone being punished on the trade winds, and so it is a known fear that you don't do this because it can bring upon calamity. It can bring upon a ghost ship.
That's so fucking metal, dude. I love that.
It's a well-known legend that gets passed around, especially on ships where there's not normally problems.
Not normally. We have one problem, and that's Larry. We don't have 99 problems. We just have one, and that's Larry.
I'm not going to argue with you. Larry doesn't see it that way. He talks about when the tiller sail breaks. He talks about when the lines are shortened. He talks about when you guys ran into the whale poop the first time. That was a problem. People had to clean that up, but it turned into a good thing. Just like all of this is going to turn into a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Keep telling yourself that, Larry.
You've got 99 problems and they're all named Larry.
Pretty much.
But Arthur is at the front of the boat. He is worried. He's watching the storm cloud.
He's watching the storm cloud with a jack of some sort of liquid. He's not acknowledged at all Larry's thrill at avoiding punishment. He makes no reaction except to take another sip from his jack of whatever beverage he's decided to put in it. Possibly some of the wonderful alcohol that Kodrog managed to pick up for him while Kodrog was
being good.
Keeping my hands clean.
Yep.
Sure. We all know what you fucking did.
Spindelhaven becomes a smaller and smaller speck in the distance. The lights from Spindelhaven kind of start coalescing together as it gets smaller and smaller until it's just a pinprick of light in the distance behind you. The captain comes out from his quarters. What are you two doing right now?
I'm most likely steering, as Anne would have instructed me to do, keeping us clear of the turbulent winds surrounding the storm.
I am probably, if I'm not helping out Maria, I'm probably on deck helping out people with lines. Other than that, he's probably literally just reading a book while occasionally flicking his wrist.
And
I think Thomas would be down with Maria with the help of Nibley, and they'd be tying down cargo right now. Tying down everything, making sure it's all in place, doing a count.
Yep. Because even though that distant lightning cloud is very far away, things can change very rapidly in the void, and to be prepared for it is, important.
Wizard doing manual labor? No. It's pretty much, hey, Thomas, you need to help me, tie this barrel down, and he's like, alright, done. Give it a few minutes, the rope's gotta do its business, and I'm done.
Also, there's counting of things. How many did we get?
Yeah.
Do we have them all? Please open that crate. Great, you checked. Now close that crate. Make sure to nail it back shut. Can you see how much of this material, that material we have? I need a report from Cookie. That's what you're doing. Yeah. Running, making numbers, databasing.
Which
if you're Thomas, you don't mind this.
Exactly.
So.
And normally you would do that before you leave port, but circumstances moved up your departure time.
Yeah.
Circumstances that have about 5 letters in their name.
K-O-D-R-O.
Is it wrong that I was gonna say, is it wrong that I just went P-A-I-G-E? And I just went,
It's okay, Thomas and Kodrog both have 6 letters, so we're safe.
Yeah.
Arthur turns and acknowledges, puts down the spyglass, takes another sip from his jack, buttons it down and looks toward the back end of the Amber Falls and spies the captain. He calls out to the front of the boat, all hands, captain on deck, mind your businesses, and he starts walking toward the back of the boat. Eyes straight onto the captain, making no contact with any of the crew.
Kodrog, you see the captain come out. You hear Arthur make the, captain on deck. You see Arthur walking, and, he always has a serious face. And it made even more serious by the fact that, as a Keshan, he keeps his hair very, very, very short for a Keshan, almost bicked off, so you can see the various scars that are along his head, across his eye, and just, so he's an intimidating figure. Even one of his ears got, nicked off, a little bit, so he's, the tip's gone. But holy crap, he's, if you had to compare him to the lightning cloud out there, he's like just as like stormy and ominous. Just, you know, he is in full on serious mode. Probably the serious that you've ever seen him, and that's saying something.
He's on don't fuck me mode.
I'm gonna make a point to not make eye contact with him because I don't want to catch any side wrath or anything.
Side wrath. When he says all hands on deck, does that include everyone below?
No, this
no,
was
he
just
said all hands on deck. Mind your.
Wait,
He's telling all
he
the
said
people
captain on deck.
Captain's here. Pay attention.
Pay attention. Don't screw this up. Don't make me look bad. Don't make yourself look bad.
Yeah.
Arthur moves to the back of the ship, at the bottom of the forecastle. He stands at attention, gives a snap and a salute to the captain, as giving like a formal address.
Yes.
From where you're at, you can definitely see that, and stops what she's doing and closes her book for a moment to watch what's going on.
Yes. The captain gives a short wave of his hand, like barely a flick, to have Arthur approach. Arthur towers kind of over the captain, like at least like head and shoulders. He's a very intimidating figure, and the Captain Harris is not small.
Captain Harris is about 5'11", almost 6 foot, and there's at least 7 or 8 inches above him is where Arthur stands.
And you can see that they are speaking very, what you can only assume to be very hushed tones because you can't hear them. There is an exchange between the two. There's a you can see Arthur's face better than the captain's. You can see the captain does not look happy at all, and Arthur frowns for a moment at something that the captain said. He says something back. The captain gives one nod, and then Arthur gives a nod, steps back, stands at attention, salutes, and then turns and leaves the forecastle.
The captain would have a piece of paper in his hands because all of that would be written down. So he's been playing with that piece of paper while talking.
Yeah.
Not like a disciplinary, like smacking as he's talking to it. More like a child fidgeting with something in his hands.
You know how, when you roll up a paper to try to get it as tight as possible, and then you let it loose, and then you do it again.
And Arthur's eyes were focused in on the captain's face the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Steel gaze straight there, but the captain, on the other hand, looked about. He muddled with his hands. He made eye contact again, tried to hold it, went back to what he's... You can see that unpleasantry or unpleasantness in the situation.
You can see that Captain Harris is definitely uncomfortable.
Arthur descends from the forecastle.
Mm-hmm.
Clears his throat. And a voice that can be heard all the way to the bottom of the boat.
Maybe even back to Spindelhaven.
All hands on top deck, now! Pitter-patter of feet, climbing, ropes, lines being secured, people begin coming out of the sails. It is quick. Boom, thud, clap, plop, 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 plop. The sound of stone versus stone clicking and clacking as grindstone is clicking to grindstone. People coming upstairs, doors being shut, Cookie turning something off in the kitchen, putting her apron down as this is a call for everyone.
So, Thomas, right in the middle of, counting one of the last crates, this is what you hear.
Great. I think it's literally just like 1,500, and I've lost count. Great. Thanks, Arthur. Closes his book and turns around.
Nibbly will rub your head and say, "Did you hear that?"
Well, actually, he will.
He will project into your head
an image of an angry Arthur yelling. And you get the question what just happened?
Yeah. Thomas kind of nods and he goes, "Yeah, he's normally not like that, is he?"
So
we best get up there immediately.
Nibbly heads to one of the nearby ports, opens it, and climbs out to the side of the ship.
Thomas just watches this and goes, "I'm gonna take the stairs." And just heads upstairs.
I can't do that. That's not fair.
Nope.
Wait a minute. Twinkle, twinkle.
I was gonna say the other thing I could do would just be startling to the crew, so I'm not. I'm not. I'm gonna save my energy and just
save your energy.
I've got legs. I'll walk
Shadow's
upstairs.
magic system does cause burn of energy, so it's fast. The crew's assembling is rather quick. Arthur, at this point in time, has pulled satchel out and has unbuttoned it, reached in, because you're in eyesight still, Kodrog.
I don't think he's reached in quite yet.
He's checking it's there.
Yeah.
Oh, so actually, so he's having everybody assemble like in the center of the ship, I assume.
Yeah, because this is yes.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take two lines from either side of the railing that's around the helm. And so I'm going to take a line from each side and loop them over the same spar on the helm to lock the wheel in place so that I can join the crew.
When you do that, Anne notices, it seems as if you get a confirmation of like, okay, good. You know, it's like that's what, you jumped the gun, you did it for her, she gives a smile and a nod, and then turns back to watching from her location with her hands still on her journal, her logs, watching the event as people begin gathering. You're met by Maria, Thomas, as you're heading upstairs. She stops you. Did you get any finished with the counting, or you still got stuff to do?
There's one more barrel, but
she'll
it's pretty much done.
Pat you on the back. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
She does not look happy either. She, she's not one to like really balk at things, but you think maybe she's a little more ashen right now. Little pale, little concern. Definitely. Is something that you feel, especially as you approach the crew, as you get to the top deck. That uncomfortable silence that everyone has been working in has intensified as everybody is all in the same place. Larry right now is looking very confused. Kind of like what's going on? And he says it out loud. He was like, what's going on? Why are we doing an all call? And then he goes silent for a hot minute.
There's side eyes on him.
One of the first times that he's been silent about things since he's got back on the ship.
Awkward.
You see that everybody is kind of in this very like awkward tension that it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think Thomas would stand next to Kodrog and just kind of kneel down a bit and go, "What's going on?" Like really, really low because it's so quiet. Like,
we're summoning ghosts.
Thomas tries not to laugh. And he stays straight-faced as he looks towards the other people on the ship.
Looking to other people, you realize that Alexi is standing next to you. He's the crewman who stood up for you Alexi stood up for you when the crew was kind of being a little bit. When you make eye contact, he gives a nod to you, but says nothing.
Bastianus is standing directly behind you. When he heard you whisper, and he heard Kodrog answer back, he did have a bit of a chuckle quickly before everybody just like turned and looked at him, and then he shut up.
Ooh, that's not part of protocol.
God.
Not bad.
I love that man. I love Bastianus.
How are you guys feeling right now in this moment? Everyone is gathered on top deck. There's nobody manning other things. Larry is standing there in silence, staring up at the captain, switching between you guys, everyone.
When he formed up with the rest of everyone else in the crowd, people made sure to take a few steps back away from him, and so now he realizes that he is not part of the crowd. And as he moves toward them, like even Inu will push people back, like, no, and he'll reach out and he'll put a hand onto Larry's leg. keeping Larry from the rest of the crowd, as if this is, a formal way of saying, we're not with you.
Thomas is fidgeting a bit, if you could call it fidgeting. He's just moving from one leg to the other very impatiently. And he has a very quizzical look on his face.
Yeah, Kodrog is no stranger to naval punishments, so, it's not disconcerting by any means. He certainly deserves it, so...
Arthur stands next to the captain on the forecastle. The captain has approached. You can see him. Thomas, he has a very, serious is not the right word. He's hiding that he's, upset. He's doing a pretty good job of it. You're pretty sure that nobody else is noticing right now what he's kind of going through. But you also see the resolve in his shoulders, for example. He's standing straight, even if his face ever so slightly belays what is going on inside. Normally, this is where Arthur would tell all the crew to shut up, but nobody's saying a word. Captain takes a big breath, lets it out. We represent Princess Amber Kadaf. Our actions, both noble and irresponsible, reflect directly upon our liege. We serve here at her goodwill, and we do not suffer those who bring her offense. Larry, you have brought such offense. You are to be disciplined for the following. And as he's speaking this, you can see Larry going white, like that. Disobeying direct orders. Dereliction of duty. Abandoning your post. And behavior unbecoming of a crewman. And you can feel like the balloon is just spreading wider and wider, it's just like, oh my god, and people are like, 4 things, fuck. You can see it in people's expressions, trying to stay as still as possible, but it's there. That the captain pauses in that moment to really just let it sink in, especially for Larry, and he's looking directly at Larry right now. You are to receive 5 lashings for each offense in accordance with the contract you signed when you joined our ranks. 20 lashes total to your back. Larry, remove your shirt and stand at the post. Refusal will be met with force, and another 5 lashes will be added to your discipline. What does Larry do, everyone?
Shits his fucking pants.
This is stunned silence. Everyone is shocked at the amount of lashings. Everyone knows, including you all, that when you signed the contract, and Thomas, you had a separate discussion entirely, so you understand what's happening here.
Yeah.
There's the first mistake you can make, and that's a no. But this isn't the first mistake. This is the second.
And the third, and the fourth, and the fifth.
Yeah.
Oh man, so in this strained, tense silence, Kodrog is running over his shore leave and thinking to himself how disastrous it could have been if anyone had known what trouble he got into.
I would think that Kodrog would notice that Thomas shifts uncomfortably. And he sort of folds his arms, but it's more of just like a comfort mechanism. But he keeps a straight face.
Larry kind of shifts back toward the rest of the crew, but Inu pushes him forward, along with the help of several other members who are definitely pushing him out like, no, dude, no. Dimitri, one of the more lithe riggers, has turned a blind eye, just looked away at this point in time. He's not even facing Larry.
Give me just 1 second.
1 second.
GM's conspiring momentarily.
GM's conspiring.
Oh no!
You guys can't hear it either.
They're also going to punish Kodrog because they know what he's done.
Nah. I hope not.
Not yet.
It's okay. I have a paper shield, so...
A paper shield?
Yeah, I've got a paper shield.
Is it like... What kind of shield is it? Is it a kite shield? That's my favorite kind of shield.
It's a dwarven tower shield.
Oh, cool. All right. So like a normal shield for humans.
We have returned.
I'm sorry, I had to.
I've got to get the aloe. I'll be back.
Hello. We got so Dimitri, he's definitely turned his head to one side. He's not making eye contact with Larry. He's definitely upset. Arthur, on the other hand, has not taken eye contact off, and at this point in time, he is walking down the stairway of the forecastle to be on the deck with everyone else. Anyone lingering on the stairs definitely make an attempt to get the hell out of his way. He reaches for that satchel once again as he gets to the deck. He makes sure that it's unbuttoned, reaches his hand into it, but he doesn't pull out whatever is inside. And it's pretty sizable, whatever it is.
Larry, seeing that Arthur is coming down the stairs and he hasn't moved yet, decides to swiftly unbutton his shirt before Arthur gets close and believes that he is resisting his discipline.
Can't be too bad. What is it?
It's just 20 lashes,
20 lashes.
It's just a couple, and you hear him. It's like, it's just 20. It's fine.
20.
It's just 20. It's fine. It'll be the first couple lashes only hurt anyway, and the rest it'll be good. Yeah, it'll be fine. Fine.
Arthur gives a nod to Larry as his shirt has been removed, and Larry slowly turns to grab the post. And in the process of doing so, his gaze passes upon all of the crew in an astonished moment as he's now making eye contact with all of you. Arthur steps forward and undoes his satchel and pulls out a cat o' nine tails that is about a meter in length, and each one is headed with a copper nail. Arthur's history was as an interrogator during the last war in Kadaf, in Narak. And he has kept his prize with him ever since. Speaking quietly, Arthur pulls forward and says, 1. The cat o' nine tails reach out, lash against Larry's back. The tiny
2.
nails repeating and ripping
3.
gently.
4.
On the 4th one, Larry's face is definitely winced. He's trying to resist.
5.
Arthur pauses and holds it for a moment. Larry is fighting, and Arthur realizes the sting is starting to dull. So he gives a moment for Larry to breathe before getting on to 6. Larry twitches, holding on tighter. 7. They come slower. Arthur is taking his time now. He can see that his individual is not getting everything out of it. 8 takes quite a while to get to.
8.
The captain at this point in time stands as strong as he can watching, but you can see that he is
9.
white-knuckled onto the railing. Larry's face now has tears. The man is fighting it back. He is whimpering. He
10.
screams when he gets hit. He's trying to hang on.
11.
Larry loses a little bit of grasp. Arthur stops for a moment. Lash him to the post. Hang on. Lash him to the post if it has to be that way. Dimitri steps forward and puts a hand onto Larry's shoulder to hold him up.
12. Every single person winces now that Larry has openly started to cry. You can see that he's shaking. His knees are giving in. He's trying his best to stay up. Virtanen, the one that hates Larry the most,
Mocks him.
steps forward and takes his other shoulder, grinning at him in pleasure as he takes his 13th whip.
14. 15. There's a pause. It's very visible now. Trickles of red.
No, not little rivers.
Rivers.
Little rivers of red.
Rivers of red are coming down Larry's back. The
So,
cat of nine tails have dug in many, many times.
I'll step forward and I'll hold Larry's hand.
Aw.
16. 17. It's not pretty.
It's not.
No one's happy.
There are several crew members who are also holding back tears at this point, seeing things.
Not all,
Not
but
all.
a decent
Not
amount.
all. Most of them are standing resolute. 17.
Maybe biting on a piece of wood so that they don't show anything on their face. 18. It's almost over, Dimitri whispers. It doesn't change how much blood he's lost. 19. 20. The last one is loud. Arthur pulled back really far and used a whipping technique that came from the deck and up across his back. In each attempt, you realize that Arthur was going from the deck up, from the left to the right. Arthur was not laying one on top of the other and cutting deeper. He was making a pattern. He was purposely marring Larry's back with 20 lashes that can individually be counted out. 16 years as an interrogator will give you a set of scary skills. He winds up his cat o' nine tails, slides it back into his pouch. Doctor, he calls.
Cyrix moves forward, brushes Arthur.
Keep the infection at bay, but let the pain linger as a reminder.
The doctor picks up Larry, who's now was trying desperately to stay up, but failing now that it's over. With, two of his appendages just to kind of, instead of, holding, a baby, he picks Larry up from the waist, so he's kind of hanging, face down, as he takes Larry to the infirmary. And Larry is crying.
Inu gives him a bit of wood to bite on.
Moaning incoherently. Everyone else, including the people who are assisting still stay where they're at. The captain stands at the forecastle once again, looking at the rest of the crew. You are dismissed. And people scatter like fucking cockroaches. That you're dismissed just burst the freaking bubble, and everybody is just trying to get out of harm's way at this point.
Except Dimitri, who stands there with blood on his hand, staring at it, like lost in thought, like, I have never seen blood before. Maybe not, maybe he's contemplating. This guy sits around and reads, and he's always aloof, but he stares deep at his hand and gets lost in the moment. Arthur comes up. That means you too. Dimitri will clench his hand and walk away, not to the rigging, but to the lower deck. And knowing that he's a rigger, if you guys, of course, you know him, that's not the direction you're supposed to go for your job.
Thomas?
It takes a moment. I think through I didn't want to interrupt you guys, but through the 13th lash, Bassianus has to put a firm hand on Thomas's shoulder because Thomas jolts forward and he stops him. And it takes a moment for Thomas to look away from where the post was, and a deep breath, and he, without saying anything, just immediately goes down to his lower deck where he used to be, and he leaves Bassianus to what he was doing.
Finishing up your count?
Yeah,
in
slowly.
Comfortable silence. Because that cat of nine tails was like a thunder crack every single time. And, as far as you think about what you just saw, and maybe you wonder if you could have handled it as well as Larry seemed to handle it.
Oh no, Thomas knows. This isn't Thomas's first time seeing something like this.
Nope. And Captain Harris also said, hey, you got to be careful with your magic on my ship because I might have to punish you. This is what he was talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a strong reminder of what punishment means on the ship.
Yeah.
Kodrog?
Yeah, he's gonna head back to the helm and unlash it and steer the ship in silence. Glad that he doesn't have to go to where any of the other crew is.
How are you feeling?
I mean, 20 lashes is a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, I was like, 20 lashes is a lot.
Oh my.
If you're being beat by a rope or a braided whip, it can hurt, and that can be bad, but it wasn't.
Still hurt.
It wasn't.
Yeah. Well, and so like back at the academy, they used just a braided whip, but it had like
a little
different crystals
end,
braided into the end. So when you caught the end, it dug deep. But he's never seen anybody get 20 lashes before. Like 10. Yeah. Wow.
I have a question that because I doubt it. I doubt they've had time. But has Captain Harris have they had alone time together? Not yet.
No, I think they were just getting right underway. You might have the opportunity to see him once you're finished with your duties.
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah, perhaps in passing, maybe not a whole lot of time, but I'm sure that you could have spoken to him if you wanted to.
No, that's not what I mean. I meant have they
alone?
Have they done it yet? Have they seen each other naked?
I'm gonna let you decide.
I mean, you guys were invisible on the ship at that one time. If you were naked at that time,
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no only because of reasons, which I will silently tell the GMs for reasons.
I think that you can decide whether or not, like, how far their relationship has gone. I think that's something that we don't need to decide. I think that's an appropriate thing for you to decide.
That's a player thing.
Gotcha.
Oh man, thanks for sticking with us, everybody.
Yeah. Hey, when I go down to the when I go down to the lower deck, do I see Dimitri at all?
Sure. I mean, that's an engagement that you choose, because he's probably just going to go down to the quarters area and hang out amongst the bunks.
No, I just If I run into him.
Yeah, he's standing by Larry's bunk, or the door to Larry's bunk.
Thomas isn't going to say anything. He'll go to his job.
Okay.
He'll work.
Yeah.
All right. Anne doesn't say anything either. As you return to your post, unlatch the wheel and whatnot, she walks over as if things are picking back up. She flips her book open and begins tabbing through it. She looks to you and says, "Have you ever used trade wind tables?"
I've looked over them. Never used them.
We're going to need to use them. Mm-hmm. She taps one book. There are more books down in the navigation in the captain's office we will look over. This is where your training is going to go. And she waves the book, walks over and puts it into your hand. You've had training in Abolithian math? Dwarven mathematics? Any of those?
Aye, sir.
Good. We're going to put those skills to use. Do you feel confident to fly right now?
I do.
Before she turns, she puts a hand, just like, as she's walking away, she just puts a hand on your shoulder. You feel her give a firm squeeze, and then she heads off to let you do your job. Whew.
Yeah, where's that storm at?
Right?
Oh man.
It's still
How
about the Mets?
Oh man.
Yeah, so we don't really want to shy away from the things that are not comfortable. And so we appreciate you as the audience to stick with us through that. Mm-hmm. It's not easy. It was uncomfortable for all of us. So thank you for being a part of the story. And yeah. Damn.
Yeah. Out of character, I had to pour myself some more drink.
I think we did really good. I think the whole setup was really good.
Yeah, I do too.
Yep. That belt, man. You're right, John.
That is my most supple belt.
Yeah.
My most supple belt.
So we're gonna say that there's gonna be a couple days, things that are, just kind of like getting back into the routine of sailing the ship, going through the trade winds. Oh man,
I have a question. Because I would imagine that this has happened on the ship during, because you said that, if I misheard you, days have passed at this point.
We're just going with a couple days
move forward.
So
okay.
Unless there's something in particular you want to address.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of. Because I would imagine that there's certain people in the crew that would find Larry suffering a good opportunity to joke about it. Because I've had friends in high school that did that to my friend. Basically, patting him on the back and stuff during dinners and stuff like that. Since he's in pain, I would imagine that that's happened where he's just sitting alone, being quiet because he's still kind of dealing with it.
Raw.
And they probably came up behind him and patted him on the back really hard just to just cuz.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. That
we
has
heard-
100% happened.
And we have a name for her too.
Yes.
Her name is
Virtanen.
That's an intimidating name.
supposed to. She's a very intimidating.
She's a very intimidating person.
During one of the, I guess, late night shifts, that Thomas isn't a part of, but Larry is. Because Thomas still has this and he hasn't used it.
Okay.
He's suffered through the pain of when he was injured. He's gonna pull Larry aside, like somehow get his attention on deck, and he'll hand him this small, like, velvet pouch, and it's the white medicinal tea that he got when he was bitten in the arm, because he didn't drink any of it.
Recognizing what it is, he'll smile. There's no question that Larry is taking advantage of his suffering and trying to get the most out of everyone.
Yeah.
But
However, he is being forced to do his job,
and so he's suffering.
There's a lot of pain, and nobody. It's like everything is still so fresh, and the crew is treating him somewhat as a pariah right now because they don't want to, like, draw attention to themselves being nice to Larry. Some people do. Dimitri doesn't hide the fact that
he'll pick up Larry's work. He will take over half of Larry's work. Larry will still have work, but he will be like, Larry's got to move this stuff, climb up and down. Dimitri's like, all right, Larry, you stay down here and help me. I'm going to go up there and help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, and some of the other crew members, the other riggers that are on his shift, they've also, like, stepped up a little bit to kind of, close ranks. Because, that's, like, even though people are really annoyed with Larry and he does some really stupid shit, like, he cracks really funny jokes, and he tells he tells these outlandish stories when people are tired on third shift. So, like,
nobody will ever say, "I fucking hate you, Larry. Die." They're like, "Shut the fuck up, Larry.
Yeah,
I'm tired of you."
He's annoying and he's an idiot, but he's part of the crew.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why the princess chose to include him on the crew, and so that's, like, where a lot of people are at. And there's even, like, you even have seen Cookie slip him a couple extra, like, pieces of stew stuff, and you might have even seen her slip him a biscuit or two, like the sweet biscuits that she keeps on lock and key.
But that doesn't mean she makes it open. Everybody is trying to stealth.
Yeah.
And there's so many people trying to stealth, it's become almost obvious that everyone's, not everyone, a decent number, except for Arthur, the captain, and Maria.
Yeah, the officers.
The officers are keeping their distance.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if Arthur's on deck, Thomas isn't going to hide it.
Right.
So Arthur can stop this or whatever, but Thomas is still going to give Larry this. And as he takes it, he just goes, just keep it on the down low.
For the love of God, don't get caught.
Pretty much, yeah.
For the love of the gods.
Yeah, for the love
and
of the gods. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And he'll pivot and he'll wander off.
So there has been some sneaky assistance. There have also been people who, unfortunately, are assholes about the thing, and they're like, ha ha, oh man,
good to see you.
Good to see you. Glad you could make it to your shift. So there's some rude jokers, but for the most part, like,
he takes it well when they do that.
Yeah.
Because he would do it too.
Yeah, he would do it. He would do it too.
Totally would do it to somebody.
I imagine I don't want to say that I can't wait for this because I don't want this to happen to Thomas. But if this ever happens to Thomas and they do this to him, oh, he'll give them a simple threatening. He'll just be like, "Don't fuck with a wizard." Like, there's so many things that I could turn you into.
A sudden gust of wind might blow you overboard.
And
Oh,
no
that
one
line
will
came
hear
undone?
you
That's
scream.
so strange.
So yeah, it's been a couple days has passed. The routine has settled back in. The lightning cloud, it has, is long in the distance.
I want to know if Kodrog's given Larry free stuff.
Yeah, what have you done, Kodrog?
Oh, I've just treated Larry like he's Larry.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
You've
have
given
any
him-
free stuff for him.
You've
No.
given him the same shit that he gives you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not slapping him on the back, but I'm not giving him any of my stuff. So yeah, he did wrong and got caught. So
Yeah,
That's unfortunate for him.
it is unfortunate for him.
Oh my gosh.
All right. But you're right. The cloud has gotten to the distance, and
So far, no ghosts.
yep.
So
2,
far.
3, 4 days away from Spindelhaven, easily. Not a single ghost. No ghost ships.
And
Smooth sailing. Crisp, warm winds dragging you guys along.
Yep. There are then the same people who joke about slapping him on the back are also like, woo, it's like
just imagine
there's a
them
lot
with
of
like
prank pulling
hooded cloaks.
at Larry's expense right now because
Oh, yeah.
like this is like one of the few times.
Putting some scraps of sailcloth over your head, walking around going, oh, during lunch and stuff.
Spooky.
Exactly. And Larry gets a good chuckle out of it, too. Maybe he actually wants ghosts to show up, because that would be great.
Yes.
Yeah.
But to that advantage, or to that situation, we are leading into an encounter, one in which Kodrog becomes aware of well before it even takes place.
Ooh.
A day ahead of the route, Anne and you have been studying the numbers. So the logs they're not maps, they're just numbers.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of numbers. And you plug in the numbers of how far you've gone, how fast the wind's moving and stuff like that. You write a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. So you know how so we have star charts, right? For the Shattered Isles. And if for like us earthbound people, like on maps how they showed the main currents between ocean or like on oceans between continents, and that's kind of like what you see in the generalized kind of star charts whenever you're looking at them. What you all are doing is actually doing the math within each of these trade winds to really have a good understanding of how long it's going to take places. What's the maximum speed that we can get? Where where are there where are the crosswinds? How can we cut around such and such using this? So there's a lot of math.
Like even being able to calculate how much line to give and take, what angles to move the sails how much to hold the tiller sails, everything can be broken down into an Abolithian mathematical equation. And that's what you and her are doing. Math.
Yeah.
Steering the wheel? Yay! Sit down and do your homework. That's what she does a lot of times. And so that's what you've been doing over the last few days. So, I've made my roll. I would like you to make your math roll.
Yeah. Okay.
And see who does better.
gosh.
Oh, let's see. This is why we need to roll 20 up.
Okay, so it's 3d6, correct?
I don't know which one roll 20 is. So.
I got a 7 against a 10.
Excellent. And it pops up. And we don't get to see it because we came in after he made the roll.
That's okay.
But we believe him.
Yeah, that's
Oh, there it
yeah,
is.
right
There it is. A 7 against a 10. Wow, that's a really good roll. So you made it by 3. She made it by 1. So during the process, you realize that the calculations say that a crosswind is moving from one trade wind to this one, theoretically speaking, and you guys should be running into it in about a day's worth of time. if your math is correct, this trade wind, this 2 crosswinds, will speed up your journey. But the numbers also say that the crosswinds are perfectly perpendicular, and those can create whirlpools or vortices and vortexes. Vortices, that's plural
That's
for
the plural
vortex.
of it? Wow, cool.
Yep.
I did not know that.
And so that's your revelation, like 2 days out. Revelation. Revlon. Roll again to check your math a second time, and we'll check over your numbers. She got a 12, which means she missed it by 1. No, she made it by 1.
Was this the 6 or the 1?
And I'm also rolling again?
Yeah, you're rolling again.
Ooh, a 9 on a 10.
9 on a 10. You do your math again, and she starts checking your math particularly, and you're correct. And she's like, huh. So you realize that there is an intersection coming up. So ahead, flying the ship is going to get interesting. Vortexes can catch the sails at the wrong angle. Vortexes can pull you out of a stream and throw you somewhere you don't want to be. So if there's a vortex right on the trade winds ahead of you, you have to bring up all the sails and coast through. And just hope that the mass of the ship drags you all the way through and you stay in the trade winds without any sails. It's like crossing your fingers and hoping you make it through an intersection without your eyes open and your hands off the wheel. That's how scary it is. And you're doing 45 in a residential zone.
That sounds perfect.
So, and at this point in time, this is like a day out.
Yeah, also, if there's crosswinds, people could be sailing on those crosswinds.
Yeah.
So...
That's why it's great for ships to have lights on them. And you guys have lights on your ships pointed forward, pointed backwards, letting people know that you're here. So in a day's time, you're going to be looking for other ships.
You even see, Anne take out, some of the spare Fresnel lamps and put them on the diagonal to where the crosswind should be approaching, just in case.
Yep.
I also recommend doubling the lookouts as we approach the vortices.
She will let you tell Captain Harris that yourself.
Ooh.
Since you discovered it, you can inform him of what's about to happen.
All right. Aye, sir. And I rush off to go tell the captain.
Okay.
I assume he's in his quarters. Unless he's on deck.
Yeah, he's probably on deck painting.
Yes, he is up on the forecastle right now.
So you guys are down in his office working. He's up on the deck painting right now, enjoying the warm breeze and the nearby nebulous.
Nice. Yeah, I will approach him, but not startle him because I don't want him to spill paint on his fancy clothes.
Okay.
They cost more than everything I own, probably.
He's got a nice setup. He's come out on occasion, multiple times, so this is nothing new. And you see that he is painting the lightning ball that was out in the distance, like the lightning cloud that you all had passed before. And holy crap, he is super talented. Look at all the colorations. He even got the small swirls of yellowy green that were going and swirling through, and the gray that's there, and the depiction of one of the lightning pops. It's really good. He should be a real artist.
So I have to admit, when you said that he was on deck painting, I imagined that there was some part of the ship that needed painting, and he was had his sleeves rolled up, with a brush, broad stroking part of the ship. No, he is fine. He's an artist. Okay. Whew.
Now there are people on deck painting right now, especially the outer part of the ship and whatnot. There are people doing their domestics. He could totally be out there painting with them, but no, he's an educated nobleman.
I was shocked. Okay. Captain, sir, and I'll stop at a respectable distance and give the salute and click my heels together and whatnot. Stand at attention.
And so he touches out, he looks over, and Kodrog. And then he stops painting. You see him pick up a rag and he starts like wiping his brush. Did Anne send you down on a mission to inform or send you back up? Have you decided what's going on with the what would he call it? I apologize. He wouldn't be like the he's more knowledgeable than I am.
Did Anne send you up to inform me of our progress?
Yeah.
Aye, sir. The Sailmaster has sent me to inform you of some issues with our course ahead.
Issues?
Well, sir, we've discovered that there's a crosswind coming from another trade wind into our course, and it will be causing vortices ahead. I recommended that we double the watch as we approach the vortices to watch out for ships that may be sailing on that crosswind.
Excellent assessment, Kodrog.
Thank you, sir. We've also determined that it would be best to retract all the sails and coast through in hopes that we don't get caught in any of them.
Should we keep the tiller sails, though, to make sure that we can steer ourselves away from any stray crosswind? Sorry, I'm doing a horrible job at.
You did. That was fine. That was fine.
That's
It's
good.
John's face that's like the best part because he doesn't. He's like, what?
Yeah. Like, what word do I use?
Yeah. You did right.
Okay.
He's the one who's playing confused because he is.
No, sir. The Sailmaster and I believe that retracting all sails is most prudent, just so we don't get whipped off course out of the trade wind. Hopefully, the mass of the ship will be enough to propel us through. Sorry, it's our belief that the mass of the ship will be enough to allow us to coast through.
Then we will go by your assessment. However, I do want to have double riggers up as we pass through in case we do need to let the sails unfurl.
Aye, sir. Would you prefer me to work with the Sailmaster when the time comes, or be one of the extra riggers on hand?
You are to be working with the Sailmaster.
Thank you, sir.
He would say, you're to be working with the Sailmaster. We will pull whatever preceding shift off, and they will double up that way. And that's a normal course of action on the ship. So, finish speaking with the captain, you return to Anne to tell her the news.
Do you tell him how great his painting is?
That is
Just
important.
kidding. No.
Oh my gosh!
No.
And he's such a good painter. Why is he a sail captain? He should be a real artist.
That she would slap you.
Don't ever call me Anne. I'm sir to you.
That's the only thing she's upset about. Like, don't ever call me Anne. It's sir to you. Also,
Yeah.
yes, he's amazing. Like,
No, I don't mention how amazing his painting is because I assume she knows. They're closer friends than I am to either of them. So.
But does
Yes.
Thomas know?
Oh, he will. He will as soon as I see him again.
Oh my gosh.
So
Do we
when
want to
you
take a... Okay, go ahead.
When you relayed this to Anne, she looks at him. Oh, but we need to just coast through. We don't need anyone on the sails. It'd be better if people were preparing for disembarking any material that comes on ship. There's a good possibility of flotsam, debris, and all the possibilities of objects just drifting around there.
So, out of character, I'm thinking there's going to be 2 shifts of riggers on watch. What if we enlist crewmen from other job titles to watch out for the flotsam instead? Is what I'm thinking. There should be plenty of crew members to do that, right?
There are 30 people on this boat.
Oh,
It generally takes... There are 3 masts, and it takes 4 people Sorry, it's 3 sections of mast, and it takes 4 people to run those 3 sections. As it's 1 person per area, just kind of maintaining it. If things get heavy, then more people come out, and that's to running 3 shifts. So yeah, there's other people on boat who can do stuff like Cookie or the doctor.
And
I'm not.
and like they're already gonna be out there. So if they're in the rigging, they can still remove said flotsams and debris should it come in, because they're already going to be out in the open to do so.
Right. So what are some of the other duties on ship? There's gunners, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Nibbly,
and
so there's Fern, who's the
yeah, Fern. I'm trying to think of the other gunner's name.
Nibbly,
the old dude.
The old dude.
His name escapes me.
Yeah.
The old dude.
That's okay. When we remember
Okay.
it,
It's like gunpowder or something.
No.
I just like to think that in the whole entire crew, they're like, oh yeah, we got gunners, and they start naming everybody, and they're like, oh yeah, and then we have old dude, and no one knows his
old dude
name.
over there.
Like no one knows his name. It's just old dude, and he just says like, huh, yeah.
That's
Like,
me.
I've
pulls out a
been
gun.
firing cannon since I was knee-high to a void hopper.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they're a very motley trio. There's also Gaz, the master carpenter, and probably his apprentice, and there's also the cabin boy.
Yep.
Who is actually a cabin geriatric.
He just runs errands for the captain. He's always like just there hanging out, doing stuff. Captain's poop bucket stinks too bad. He goes toss that sucker in a second. Bam. This is my one
Wow.
existence.
Well, sir, back in character. I believe that half the riggers on duty can watch for flotsam and wait to be called, and we can also enlist the help of other crew members, if need be, from other tasks.
She'll give a nod. When it comes to that, you make a suggestion to the captain about these things.
Aye, sir.
You're going to have to start communicating with him more, because your job will be at that helm. Soon, she says.
Understood.
She looks back down at her books, closes them all up. All right, I'm going to take my rest. And she'll leave you at this point in time as you finish your math. I'll check your work later. And then she's going to head out. And we're going to take a break.
Yay! Awesome. So we'll be back in 10 minutes to continue our adventures through the Shattered Isles. Dun, dun, dun.
Cheers. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Original Box Sets Shattered Isles game here. Man.
That's okay.
You nailed it. Good job.
Almost.
Hey, everybody. Ha ha. I'm shot 2 into the wind. Rum shot.
Yay!
Rum. It's delicious.
Shots. I have water.
Good enough.
And
Hi,
meatloaf. But,
I'm Cassie. This is Max, and you're back with us for the Shattered Isles. Yay!
Yay.
Just a quick note: make sure you guys stay after we're done, because Bobby's gonna be on, and you guys will be able to see Buddy Cop. It's gonna be great. Donate to the Shadowcasters Network fundraiser, and more stuff will happen. Okay, there we go.
So, we left our group. They had left Spindelhaven. We just got through with the corporal punishment of one of the crewmen who had done
Who had done fucked
wrong.
up?
And now we are picking back up. A day before, I would say, a event was about to happen that could potentially change the course of the ship. Kodrog and Anne, the sailmaster, had calculated out that a trade wind crossroads is about to happen. It's called a crosswinds, where a wind, which is a roaming wind, moves and intersects. this is a possibility. This might not even happen. It might just be a complete fluke and the math is wrong or the time of year is wrong or something, but it could be all perfectly good sailing. The day comes, and through spyglasses, the lookout calls ahead, makes a shout, and begins making a flash down to the deck. Morse code spells out, vortex ahead. This gets quickly relayed to Anne when Kodrog at the same time. Anne first, because even though Kodrog's manning the wheel at this early point in the hour, Anne, of course, is always announced to everything because they see her as the sailmaster, even though you're at the wheel. It's understandable. The captain's attention is raised, as well as Arthur's and the rest of the officers, and the word spreads quickly across the ship that there's a vortex ahead. Anne, trusting in Kodrog's abilities, sends him to the front of the deck with a spyglass to take a look and see what's ahead of the Amber Falls.
I dart to the bow, as is my duty to relay information as quickly as possible.
So, everyone was informed about what was happening beforehand. So, when the actual crosswind became visible to the naked eye, because you guys are still way far out, like people, it was anticipated. And it looked pretty cool. As you continue forward, you can see just like, you know how like when it's hot and on the asphalt and you see like the little shimmering distortion effect, it's kind of like that, where you see this like distortion of your vision that's not your eyes. It's literally just, it's happening in the distance with these two winds coming together. You take a look through your spyglass, and you see what the lookout was referring to as a vortex. Thankfully, it looks like there's only one, instead of like the potential for having one in each part of like the crosswind scenario.
The crosswind has pushed your trade wind into a bulge, and so you guys will be skirting along the far left-hand side of this vortex. And you'll be going slow, because if you hook onto the right-hand side of the vortex and go along with the spin, you'll easily be dragged back in. So you have to fight against the current just for a little while, catch back up to your trade wind, and slip away from this mess effortlessly.
Yeah. But something else catches your eye a little bit. Roll is there a perception?
Yes. It's called awareness.
Roll an awareness.
You're not. You're
yeah.
rolling for detail. You're not rolling for, oh, hey, right now you see that there's something wrong. Now you're just staring at it, trying to come to realization of what you're looking at.
Oh, gosh.
16.
That distortion,
I missed it by 2.
That distortion is really strong. Like,
staring at it.
That wind has to be moving so fast. Like, you might have to go back to Anne and reevaluate, like, some math real fast before you get there.
Because if the wind is causing a visual distortion of the surrounding area, then that means that it's shearing wind and it could easily tear the mast to pieces. Because wind doesn't actually become visible for a long period of time. High wind speeds and stuff like that.
So, how much time do we have before this vortex is a concern?
You've got hours.
Okay.
At least 6.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm going to clean my, wipe the lenses on my spyglass, and rub the. Oh no! For real?
Yeah, you're like. Oh shit!
Uh-oh. You see.
It looks like the glue has hardened beyond and cracked the resin or glue that's used to hold the lens in, and so the lens has come out.
Obviously, it's a faulty spyglass. So me not being able to tell what it was is not my fault. It's out of my hands. I'm gonna jog over to the nearest spotter and borrow their spyglass.
Okay.
It's Larry.
No, actually, you look around for a moment. There's actually the only people here are currently working the rigs and whatnot. There is the front spotter. You're like, where's the front spotter? There's at the first glance, there's no front spotter at the front of the boat, but until you get up to the front of the boat, you see that the front spotter is Inu, and he is down over the front edge of the boat, and looks like he's fishing out barnacle bits.
Oh gosh. Inu, can I borrow your glass?
He just hands you a mug.
He gives you a nod. He gives you a nod, and then he takes and he pulls it out and he spins it and sends it sailing in front of the boat. And so as the boat begins moving, it becomes curving backwards towards you. Make a catch roll. This would be based off thrown weapons.
Don't fuck up.
He beat his by at least 6.
That should give John a bonus.
We'll give you a bonus of 2.
You said thrown weapons?
Thrown weapons.
Oh, good. Here it is. Okay. I was like, I don't see it anywhere. And it gives me a bonus?
2.
Okay.
You add that to your skill.
Oh, good. 8 on a 15.
Nice.
All right. You grab Inu's spyglass that twirls up towards you.
Okay. So I'm just going to inspect the lenses without touching them and make sure they're clean.
Okay.
And then I will try and spot the distortion again, like look through and see if I can identify what it was that I was trying to look through.
Inu keeps his cap on; it's clean. You can't see any problems. Do you want to go ahead and make your perception roll?
All right.
I want to roll dice too.
Okay. You will when they get to the vortex.
Yes. 9 on a 14.
Okay.
You put your eye to the spyglass once again, and thank the gods, it was not what you thought originally. Because if it was, that wind would have been moving so fast that it would have really been a serious danger to the ship. So, relief, excellent. But
Good
now
news.
you're trying to figure out what in the world you're looking at. You spend some time making sure that you can make out at least some of the details. There's definitely some, flotsam and debris that's swirling around in this vortex. You see what you think are probably some large pieces of, of asteroid rocks that are that have got caught up into them. And maybe some pieces of wood or crates from some ship that got a little too close and pulled off some of their ship.
But the majority
of it is this weird, semi-opaque mass that's kind of bobbing inside, and it's large. Whatever this is
mm-hmm.
takes up maybe 60 to 70% of the actual vortex.
And there seems to be more of this whitish blue transparent mass coming from the second stream. The cross stream seems to be adding. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's
and that was
maybe it's a liquid or
so the distortion
a cloud
that you
of dust.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. You want to?
Maybe it's a liquid or a cloud of dust that from an isle or who knows what, maybe a nebula leaked into the stream, and it's just petering in and being caught up in this vortices. You don't know if it's going to spew out in the stream you're in. It probably isn't because math tells you so. But for the most of it, you can definitely see that it's being injected into this vortex. These whitish blue, transparent, blobby materials.
Yeah. So and that you realize is what made it look as if there was a massive push of air, because it's coming from the crosswind. It's going through. You see a little bit come into the trade wind that the Amber Falls is riding right now, and then swirl back into and increase the mass of this weird, like I said, semi-transparent, a little bit of a blobbing kind of thing that just keeps adding to it.
I'm going to give you that you made 6 greater than your number.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in your head, you're thinking what you're looking at is not a blob, but a large collection of something.
Yeah. A large collections of individual things making up this mass of weird-looking stuff.
Oh, goodness. Okay. So
It might take probably another 3 or 4 hours before you can, maybe properly give a good identification on it, because right now you're far enough away to just kind of, like, know that something is happening there, but not exactly what it is.
Okay. I will jog back to the helm and report back to the sailmaster what I've seen, and describe that there is some kind of material coming in from the other trade wind that seems to be mainly caught in the vortex, but may potentially spill out into our stream, and that we should keep a close eye and a wide berth.
She begins contemplating. She doesn't answer. She just sits quietly thinking. Describe it. Describe what you saw.
Well, some of it was just general flotsam and debris, but the rest of it, I'm not sure how to describe. It's almost like bits of an aisle were pulled in. It's very fluid and opaque.
Crossing her arms, she leans back into her chair. Get Gaz up here.
Aye, sir. And I'll run off to grab Gaz.
Hey, she stops you. Meet me at the front of the ship with Gaz. The bow.
And I do a quick salute and run off again.
She grabs her spyglass and heads out right shortly behind you. Locking the wheel in place and...
Where would I find Gaz?
Generally repairing something in his workshop, building something as part of the ship, another peg, a cog, a wheel, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. I'll start in his workshop.
Okay.
Hopefully he's there.
Yeah, you see him in the in his workshop. He is currently at his what do they call those things that architects use that aren't desks, but they're like where they do their architecting things at?
Drawing table.
Drawing tables.
Yeah.
So you see him at a standing drawing table, and there's like a very fine sheet of paper. Paper is very hard to come by. Like, it's, most of the time when you see books, they're like the vellum, that or parchment. Paper is fine. It's for fine, like, detailed, like, work with, very thin, either very thin pins or brushes. And when you get closer, it looks like he is trying to do a schematic of the small ship that you all found.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
He's even got like a little piece in his eye, over his eye that he's currently squinting at.
Oh, for the fine details.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will knock on the door frame as I come in.
You see him look up, and you can see, like, it's almost comical. Like, you can see, like, the, his normal eye, and then you see, like, the blurry giant eye that is, like, behind the lens that he's using right now. And then he looks up, and then he blinks, like, a couple times, and then takes the eyeglass off. Kodrog, what are you doing here? And he like rolls up his paper too very quickly because he did, so.
The sailmaster requests your immediate attention at the bow, on deck.
The sailmaster?
The sailmaster.
Huh. So he continues to roll up his paper, and you see him like take. There's a very long, what looks to be like some sort of abnormally large scroll case. If a box was long and extended, and then and it still had like the lid with the lock and everything, that's what it is. And it's right now it's attached to the right above his drawing desk. He opens the lid, puts the paper in, and then closes it. And you see that there are several different other papers that he's putting this on top of. Like extra long scrolls, essentially, is what they look like. And he does lock it and takes the key with him, into his pocket, and he's like, "Lead the way."
So I'll lead him up to the deck, and then it's a fine schematic you're sketching.
Yes. And he gives you like this.
It's none of your business, smirk.
Yes,
Okay. None of my business. I'll lead him the rest of the way in silence.
He
seems very secretive of it, and normally, because that he spends a lot of his time trying to make improvements on the ship, and he spends a lot of his time kind of doing math and as far as like supplies needed for this, doing stuff like how much you need to repair things, and that he is constantly trying to make the Amber Falls even more beautiful, like with different carvings or woodwork and stuff that he does. So and you've been into the captain's quarters, and that right now is like one of his masterpieces from a carpentry perspective. So that he is very intense with his work ethic, and he does really great job. So you're not really sure why he would be trying to scheme out the smaller yacht, I guess is the best way to put it. Perhaps he might be trying to take elements from that and include them on the ship, or maybe he just wants to remake it himself. You don't know. And he's not telling.
It is quite a fine design, and knowing that he appreciates a beautiful piece of craft, I can understand that he would want to recreate and or document it. So, yeah.
So you're doing the sailmaster's bidding now?
Wait, hold on before I respond. Gaz is the master carpenter.
Yeah, he's the master carpenter. And he's still like you, and he's jovial. Like he says it with a smile on his face, like.
Yeah. Okay. Sir, it is my lot in life to do the bidding of my betters.
I would have recruited you to be a shipwright with me based on the very fast work you did on the deck putting things back together. Squinty eye. I barely had to go over and fix it at all.
This guy's just mad.
And I will return his "it's none of your business" smirk. So.
and he has a big laugh at that. As you make your way up tech, so yeah, just some little ribbing.
Yeah, good-natured fun. It's cool. Like the sailor do. Yep.
So, the two of you make it to the front of the bow of the ship, And Anna's there waiting for you with spyglass in hand.
She points out into the void in front of the Amber Falls. The blackness is all that anyone can see right now, glinted with stars shining like gemstones against the black curtain.
And the distortion of the crosswind.
Guys, we're coming up over the vortex. There's something in it. Something large. It could be trash. It could be dirt. It could be water. We're not going to miss it. There's no way we can. Is there any kind of thing you can put on the front of the Amber Falls that might deflect? Everything's going to be coming from the right-hand side. And she taps the starboard. Everything's going to be hitting the bow on the starboard side as we move forward, as we skirt the side of the vortex. I'm thinking like a shield or something. A large collection of wood or whatever we can, possibly to create like a deflection across it. So whatever we hit, because it's a lot of it, it just bounces off. Something that can get damaged that won't damage the Amber Falls.
So Gaz, you see his brow furrow, and he, as in thought, and then he holds out his hand. It's like, do you mind if I take a look?
You will head. She hands off the spyglass, her spyglass, to Gaz.
Right.
He'll see it. He doesn't know what he's looking at, but he'll see it.
It looks more fluid than solid.
Fluid can weigh a lot.
It can weigh a lot, but it can also push us out of the vortex if we time it right.
So can an explosion.
You're asking the wrong person.
I haven't called on her for that yet. But if we need, could you put a shield on the front of the ship? Do we have the supplies to build that? Or should we call upon the wizard? Actually, no, hang on, she would say. Or should we call upon the finger wiggler?
Holds back comments.
We could probably reinforce some of the extra sailing. Because we do have enough cloth, and we can tie it down. I've got a few timbers that I could attach it to, and you see him doing. And he talks very slow, because he's doing the math in his head. He's doing the design in his head right now. It's possible.
Okay. Both will turn and look at you.
Pardon me, sirs, but perhaps we could circumvent the vortex entirely by leaving the trade wind and having Master Thomas fill our sails while we're in the free void.
Anne will give a nod. That doesn't sound like a bad option. We'll keep it in mind. Captain wants us to not use those tricks
too often. Let's get a little closer. I'll start making the shield, or at least the. If it turns out that whatever it is that we won't be able to miss it, and it'll do damage, it'll be a threat to the ship, then we'll call on Master Thomas.
Agreed. Kodrog, inform Master Fern that she's to shift all the explosives to the starboard side of the ship.
Aye, sir.
All of them.
All of them. Aye.
You may have heard put a lot of explosives on the starboard side, but what I literally said was put all of the explosives on the starboard side that we have.
Also shift all the cannons to that side of the vessel as well. inform Maria that we are to shift an equivalent amount of load from the starboard to the port side to weigh out all the explosives and the cannons. We have, and she looks up, pulls her watch out, begins adjusting it. She does that, and then, of course, at that point in time, Gaz pulls his out, clicks it open, and begins making adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
Inu, who's standing nearby listening, begins watching because he ain't wealthy enough to afford a watch. She cranks it a few minutes, looks at it, clicks it. 4 hours and 22 minutes before we're close enough for it. She closes her pocket watch.
I'm sure I can throw something together in that time.
She gives a nod to Gaz. You have your orders. I'll inform the captain of what's going on.
Aye. And I'm sorry, what was the gunner master's name again?
Fern.
Fern, correct. Okay.
Yes, she's
Excellent.
the tiny Elim with pyromaniac attitude, master gunner. She's she's the fire Elim.
Right. Before you go wandering off, I'm sure you're heading toward Fern and whatnot. You run into Maria. She is currently in the galley. She has some pieces of paper laid out in front of her. She's sitting with Thomas.
Right. I'll jog right on up to Maria and Thomas. Maria is still a superior officer, correct?
Yes, except yes. There's no exception. She's always in charge.
Excellent.
I was gonna say yes, except she's not your boss.
but yes, she's always in charge.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I will clear my throat.
In all ways.
Clear my throat and salute the bosun.
She just raises an eyebrow like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So you get this look from Thomas where it's just like,
yeah.
Like
Beg your pardon? The sail and carpentry masters request that you move an appropriate amount of ballast to the port side to counteract the weight of all of the explosives on the ship.
What?
What?
I'm ordered to request that the master gunner move every ounce of explosive on this vessel to the starboard side. And therefore, we must counteract the weight with the appropriate amount of ballast on the port.
She looks over and begins pulling several pieces of paper from piles in front of Thomas. This is mine now. This is mine now. This is yours now. Get Nibley to help you move things. No, wait. Nibley's going to be moving stuff with cannons. Get the doc to help. No, you're going to have to wake up some of second shift to help you move stuff. Is there a reason? She asks.
There's an unknown mass in the vortex ahead, and they're concerned as to how we are going to get around it.
So we're going to blow up that side of the ship?
That's what I was thinking.
I'm afraid I'm not privy to the entire plan. But I assume the idea is to propel our way sideways around it?
Why don't I just go up there and move the ship itself?
Maria looks at you. I would prefer it.
It's not that hard.
And to be honest, Thomas, I did suggest it. However, I believe that you are the backup plan.
Thomas looks offended. He just does this thing and he goes, like, he grabs his feet and just sips on it.
So keep your fingers nimble, my friend. And I turn to run off to Fern and tell her the good news. Prepare for explosions.
Good news, everyone.
As you leave, Maria looks across the table at you as you're drinking. She also takes a drink. And then she starts pulling the papers back and forth. This is the most asinine idea ever, but she shrugs.
Well, if we do get hit by something and the ship does explode, it'll be just that side. Be better to repair it, I guess.
She gives a laugh. Make sure to be on port side if things go wrong.
Yeah.
Go gather some second shift. I'm going to go downstairs and see if the doctor's free, since I assume Nibley's going to be occupied.
Right. And he'll stand and he'll stretch a bit and he'll start heading towards the doctor. And probably wake up Bassianus.
Okay.
He's strong. He can move cannons.
Yeah.
Barnacle, there we go. Okay. I was like, we gotta have his name. I know it.
Yep,
There's
we
a
did.
guy named Barnacle on
Yeah.
our ship. That's
The
amazing.
that's the old guy.
Oh my god! That's such a badass name for an old man! Old man Barnacle.
I imagine at one point when, like previously, when Larry was assigned to barnacle removal duty, he tried to lure Barnacle off the ship to get into trouble.
Yeah, you know it.
An hour has passed. Cargo is being shifted. You've informed Fern. Is she excited?
Are you sure you informed Frank? Because I didn't know.
I was just going to step forward looking at the clock.
We're good.
We're good? Okay, go ahead.
So,
Rewind.
yeah. This is like part of the fun.
Okay.
NPCs and cool
NPCs.
things. Alright, so you make it down to the gun deck. You see Nibley and Barnacle and Fern sitting at a makeshift, sitting/standing at a big barrel, and they have cards in their hands and dice that's on the barrel top. Well, the cards aren't technically in Nibley's hands. They're kind of like he's touched them with his weird digity weird finger grabby things, but he has sticky bits on the end, so they just kind of stick to his fingers, and he's holding them and does waving
One card's
them
over
around in
here,
front of
one
it,
card's over
you
here.
know.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, I move up quickly and say, "Master Gunner, sir," and I do my salute.
Fern looks up at you and just lets go of her cards, so they're free floating right in front of her, and she signs to you. What do you want? Do you speak sign language?
The old man nearby goes, she's asking if you speak sign language.
Well, no, I don't ask. She's not asking. She says, what do you want? And I'm asking John, as the player,
okay.
if he is able to understand sign language.
I don't know if it's listed on my character sheet anywhere, so I'm gonna go with nah. Probably not. Oh, is it anything like signal?
No.
No, I don't. No.
So you
I
see
do
her
not.
hands wave in a weird motion, and then she stops and stares at you for a second.
So do the other two. They stare at you waiting.
I look at the other two with a question mark over my head.
The old one says, well, you're going to answer her.
What did she ask?
Fern rolls her eyes, gets jumps up from her little spot, so now she's kind of free floating in the air right now. She's so she looks over at Barnacle, and she does some signing, and then looks at you, putting her hands on her hips gosh, I can't believe I have to wait for this guy to so yeah.
She wants to know what you want.
Oh. Forgive the interruption, but the sail and carpentry masters request that you move every ounce of explosives that you have to the starboard side of the ship.
So Fern looks confused for a second, and then she makes a sign. What she signs is, why the fuck would we do that? With this?
Nibley looks to her.
Barnacle.
Barnacle looks to her, looks to Nibley. Nibley shrugs. She wants to know why you want to do that. That's not her exact words, but I'm being a kind and gentle soul.
The vortex that we are approaching in the trade winds has some unknown debris in it, and they're concerned that we may not be able to navigate around it.
you see like her eyebrow raise like really fast, and then like her fingers kind of just like do this. She looks over to Barnacle and Nibbly, and she doesn't say anything.
Oh boy.
And then Barnacle laughs. Because right now she's speaking in pictures to Nibbly and to Barnacle, so they all have like their silent conversation happening right now.
The large,
Damn it.
armored bug man reaches over, because of his size, he reaches over and touches the light cannon, and then looks to her. And he grabs it with one hand and begins dragging it across the deck.
And Fern signs, we're gonna move every last piece of explosive over there, and all we have to do is, and you see her moving really fast now, because and all we have to do is just, we'll set it up to where we can have all the cannons go off at once, and then, so she's going on and on and on for like several minutes, explaining all of the exciting things that are about to happen, because we're gonna blast this vortex out of the water, out of the void.
Oh god.
The old man is watching what she's saying. She said, you're good, you can go, we've got this. Go, run along and tell the old wrinkly woman that we've figured it all out. We're good at done.
The old bag of bones.
The old bag of bones, we've got it figured out.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Such respect. What a big happy family.
The gunners, man, they don't give a fuck.
They're a deck lower than everybody else. That means they're like, you know.
Yeah. Also, Fern is also my favorite. She was the character that I played. I loved her.
Nice. Yeah, I will run along to the old bag of bones and let her know the plan is in action.
Do you say that exact name?
No. I use polite words because I'm a kind and gentle soul.
Wow.
Anne's happy that everything's been put in motion. The captain and Arthur have both been informed, and now it is time to continue prepping. Be ready if Gaz asks for any assistance. Did you get a hold of Maria?
Yeah, I ran into her first.
You were able to tell her what to do? Great, so everything's working in
indeed.
order. Move to the bow with the spyglass and let me know the moment anything changes.
Aye, sir.
Okay. And you find your way to the front of the boat, and there you sit watching, slowly drawing closer to the swirling mass ahead of you. Whatever that amount of material that's trickling in, you're able to count and start looking down the stream and see the amounts, like the little bursts. They look like bursts of material that would be adding to the vortex.
Can I tell what color it is?
It
Whitish blue, slightly transparent
it's
in the most,
okay.
so it becomes like a white blue color.
It's like, it's kind of like a weird water cloud.
Okay.
You know how the edge of isles kind of have that weird effect, specifically the water that sits at the lower part of an isle. As it comes through the edge, it's like, woo, like it's blobby and weird moving and free flowing. That's what you're seeing right now.
So it looks like water.
Okay. Yeah.
Which would be a drencher of a situation if you guys hit a bunch of water. It's not going to be terrible.
I did my thing.
Because it doesn't rain in the void. There's no rain. You drive through like clouds of mist and stuff like that.
There's no rain. There's just gaseous clouds and scary ass like things.
Death.
Like
Yeah,
whales.
pots of whales, dragons,
Pots of whales,
you know.
dragons. You know, the usual.
Vapor.
No
Tentacle
rain.
monsters.
No rain. Who needs rain? The void is a desert.
So an hour passes and you can make another perception check, awareness check.
Alright, here we go. 10 out of 14.
He's now an hour closer. I don't know. Let's buy 4.
Yeah,
I'm really feeling yes at this point in time.
I think that
Maybe
probably would be
another hour.
another hour.
Okay.
So, yeah. This is something that you think is organic. So maybe it is water. You're not sure, but you don't know, like, because it comes in like weird blobby bits from the crosswind, and just like then it swirls around.
And it's got a cloud around it too. It's got a misty cloud, maybe water.
So maybe it's water.
Okay. Good time to hang the buckets overboard and try and collect some drinking water.
Finally, yeah, it might not be as dangerous as first thought.
And you have been Mr. Popular. People become up. What is it? Have you seen anything new? You guys you've already started seeing bits of flotsam too. Yeah. So I mean, like probably within the last hour, a piece of decking hit the ship. Not a small piece, a decent size of decking, like a foredeck section hit the ship. That's probably about 2 foot
somebody's
high,
broken ass ship.
Yeah, exactly. Not enough to damage it, but definitely enough. Like that was a lot.
Yeah. So anybody who comes to like ask me like, oh, do you see anything new? I'll be like, no worries. Anything new that I have to report, the Sailmaster will be the first to know.
Okay.
Or like keep an eye out for stranded survivors or whatever.
There have been more than one person right now that has come up and asked if those are ghosts. Maybe the ghosts are here and they're gonna be coming over, swarming the ship. They're just waiting for us. Larry is definitely just pushing that everywhere. Every single person that he runs into.
People come from the other mast to hang out with you, and at some point, Cookie comes walking up. Excuse me, Kodrog.
Yes, Cookie.
I'm taking a bit of a survey. We're down to mushrooms and dried leaves for meals. We've got a couple of vegetables still, and I'm just trying to sort out exactly what I want to put in.
It's not really that important right now, Cookie. Also stuffed mushrooms.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to take a survey of what everybody would want for dinner coming up tonight. And so, holy crap, what the hell is that? She points out the bow.
So, well, if you look through this glass here, you'll see that there's some kind of debris surrounded by a swarm of ghosts.
She grabs it and looks through the wrong end.
I don't correct her.
Okay. I don't see anything.
I don't see shit.
It's much closer than it appears. Wow, you're very far away.
So after she says she doesn't see shit, then I will instruct her to turn the glass around. Right. You look through the small end.
Oh my god, she got a 17.
I don't see shit.
She got a 17. She's like,
and
she's looking down at this point in time. So she's got it, and she's looking like past the bow of the ship out into empty space. So I'm gonna get behind Cookie, and I'm gonna reach forward and push the top of the spyglass up, and like eyeball it.
I wish
not the spyglass.
Her arm. I'm gonna hold her, caress her arms gently, and raise her arms up to where roughly where the vortex is.
All right,
she's very distracted right now.
All right, so Thomas, you've heard a lot of people talking about the boat. You've got a chance to break away from everything, and you're heading to the front of the boat. And as you come through the small collection of material, you see Cookie, and she's leaned out across like this, and then Kodrog is hoisting her up. It's like that scene out of Titanic.
Thomas just stands there for a moment, and he goes into his satchel, he pulls out one of the smut books he has, and he goes, and he's comparing the cover to them, and then he puts it back in his pocket.
And you hear Kodrog say, right there, that's the spot.
Right there, honey. I see it. What is that thing? It's massive. I've never seen anything like that. How did it get there?
And you may never see one again.
Thomas just slowly walks up and he goes, if I'm not interrupting anything, all the cannons are moved below. And he just looks between the two.
Oh, Thomas, do you want to see it too?
Oh yeah, come on over.
I'm sorry,
it's huge. You'll love it.
I bet it is.
Kodrog's really good with his hands. That helps so much.
Oh boy. But they say a lot about that for a rigger.
She'll hand you back your spyglass. That was amazing. Any idea what it is?
Well, we could do stuffed mushrooms. That sounds like a fair meal.
Fair enough. She'll smile and run her hand through your beard a little bit. I might have a potato or two left over. See you at dinner. Whew. She starts.
Cookie leaves. And Thomas watches. He looks back and he goes, I think you've downgraded. Like, you can do much better than Cookie. What are you doing?
Thomas, I am offended. I was simply showing Cookie the vortex.
Is that what you call it?
Well, yes, that's the technical term for when a errant stream meets a crosswind or a trade wind. It's a vortex. If you look through the glass straight that way ahead to the bow, you'll see it. I don't know what else you would call it. I mean, maybe a swirly do, but that sounds kind of silly.
No, you know what? Keep swirly do. And he takes the spyglass and he will look for it.
Oh my God.
All right, you can make a awareness roll.
7, and I believe my awareness is... I should have looked at this first before I did it. I apologize. Awareness is under skills, right?
Yes.
Why can I never find it?
It's near the top of the left-hand column.
11.
Sorry, right-hand column.
7 out of 11, which...
You were able to sign the whitish, soft blue mass that everybody seems to be discussing, and it seems to have that same, what you can tell, a swirly pattern ahead of the ship.
Can I make...
It's globule.
Globule.
Can I make a void knowledge roll?
Yes, you can.
Oh! I got 2 1s and a 2. 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10.
Okay, so you are standing up on the deck. You know, you're right there. You're looking, and you see how these little globules are coming from the trade wind into the vortex and just kind of getting stuck and swirling around and around and around and around. And you're like, I've seen things that move like this. You've seen them.
They are moving. They're not just drifting along. It's not stuck in the trade winds. You watch its movement, and you're like, your mind starts picking through the details of what you're seeing and you're thinking about, and you start imagining what one of the little individuals of this mass would be.
That's a cloud of jellies.
Oh.
Not
How dangerous are...
Not like a cloud. Oh, look, it's a tiny cute cloud. These are hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, that's like mating season
tens
cloud.
Of thousands.
How bad and dangerous are jellies?
They might be the stinging kind, they might be the purulent kind, they might be the kind that carry some rare disease that turns you into some freakishly weird thing. The void is dangerous.
However, jellies are delicious.
If they're not dangerous.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thomas will pull back and he'll hand him back a spyglass and he goes, yeah, that's not a vortex. And he looks down at him.
Well, it is a vortex. The jellies are being sucked into a vortex.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's a vortex and the cloud of jellies.
Yeah, the
Those
jellies
poor
have,
jellies!
The jellies have been moving the trade, moving the crosswind, and they're trying, and you see now, like, some of them try to break off and, like, get out of the vortex, but the majority of them are getting swirled around in this, in the crosswind vortex right now.
As a esteemed wizard, do I know... Don't laugh at me. Do I know any spells that could close off a vortex other than my shielding spell that can just
That's not strong enough.
Yeah, no, this
You're
thing
talking
is
about
pretty darn big.
kilometers worth of vortex and wind and
Yeah.
whatnot, not just like a few feet.
But
This
is there any spell that could suffocate it or potentially close it off?
Nah, this is Mother Nature.
Okay, I figured.
I mean,
Mother
if
Nature,
there's-
bitch!
If you want to be that wizard who fucks with nature, I'm sure you could kind of make enough gusts
As a
to
wizard
wind.
who spent a number of years on the Isle of Green with the druids, you know, your heart's like, oh, I want to help them.
Yeah.
But then, at the same time, like, the lessons that were kind of taught to you while you were there is, like, the natural world is, you know, dangerous for everyone and everything, and sometimes life doesn't find a way.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of meant to be that way.
Yep.
But their sacrifice could be a delicious add-on to this stuffed mushroom bullshit that Cookie's talking about.
Yeah, Thomas kind of puts his hands on his hips and looks at this distant cloud. And he goes, yeah, that's a swarm of jellies. They're being sucked into the vortex. They're actually really delicious. They're kind of a delicacy.
Yes. Much more delicious than, you know, whatever Cookie's gonna stuff those mushrooms with. Well, I mean, rat can be good. You gotta roast it just right.
You need to go to Marseille. You don't know cuisine, my friend.
We need to go to Marseille. Have some fine cheese.
Are you twirling your mustache while you
I could make an extremely racist comment, but you're a good friend, so I'm not going to.
You should anyway, as a joke.
Between good friends.
Mine was just, oh, and you're a dwarf, so you eat rocks. I get it.
You wouldn't know fine cuisine if you...
If you have a plate full of rocks.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How do you know we eat rocks? That's a dwarven secret.
Thomas just kind of shrugs and he goes, I mean, we could attempt to net the ones who are away from it, but this is a really strong vortex, so...
So you're saying we should try to skirt the vortex with all of our nets out and catch as many jellies as we can?
I'm just not telling you to be careful, that's all.
So, Kodrog, you were there for the conversation about making this, like, cloth barrier thing with, you know, like, shield that Gaz is cooking up. It would be really easy to just maybe add some extra canvas into it and like, make it a little looser. Now you've got ideas rolling around in your head. Maybe you should have been a carpenter instead of a sailmaster.
I can be both, you know? Why limit myself? I'm full of potential. Yeah. I mean, if we make the shield, but then on the outside of the shield, make some kind of a cast net attachment, we can both block the wind from, you know, throwing us off course and scoop a bunch of jellies.
I could potentially redirect wind and push jellies away from that, but it would be...
Try to redirect the wind so that you can cut the wind?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
yes?
Thomas is pretty confident that he could at least ensure that the Amber Falls doesn't get you know, caught up into the vortex. Even if you can't, like, push the jellies out, you can at least make sure that, like, the ship doesn't get damaged if you decide to, you know, net some jellies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, who do you take this plan to?
Oh, well, I bring my good friend Thomas with me to the Sailmaster. Old bag of bones!
How does this is my first time actually speaking with Anne personally, or at least being close to her, I think, as Thomas.
Yeah, so Anne is an older woman.
For a human, she's probably in her 50s,
Yeah,
maybe
late-
even going
late-
into her 60s.
Yeah, definitely. You know, she's well into her 50s. She is a salty dog. You know, always been sailing since she was, you know,
Oh, glass.
Knee-high to something.
yeah.
Sun-soaked skin, white hair, blue eyes, light blue eyes.
Very lanky, you know, and wiry. She doesn't have a, you know, she's one of the like people, if you imagine, like she has been doing this job so much. She's been outside. She's been the elements have worn away like any fat that would have been there. So sometimes her skin is kind of a little bit loose, you know, but it's all like tanned, and she's, you know, no nonsense. Very smart.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Would you care to present our plan to the Sailmaster, Thomas?
No, you work for her. I don't.
I mean, you're not going to send me in alone, are you, friend?
I'll be right next to you.
Excellent. I'll slap you on the back.
Even though you're a dwarf, Thomas does this thing and he goes, yeah,
Even though, wow, we're short. We're not weak.
Well, you're probably like patting his mid to lower back, right?
Yeah, sorry. I gently caress the small of your back. Like, what do you think dwarves do?
Whoa!
Kodrog, you're a very
Captain,
good
my
friend, but
captain.
you are just that to me. You are a very good friend. Besides, I think you have a good relationship with Cookie. I don't want to ruin it.
Oh, I have a good relationship with all my shipmates.
Well.
And this is the conversation as we approach Anne.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you hit the last step and the conversation stops.
You're on the forecastle. She's smoking right now. She's got a lot of stuff laid out on the table, pinned down by weights, as she's watching the in front of the boat. So she comes up as you're walking up. She has the like a lackadaisical appearance in her face. You know, it's like just ho hum, waiting for things to happen. She's poised
Sir.
and ready.
Thomas has identified the mass in the vortex.
Have you now?
It's jellies, sir.
She'll like lean back at this point in time, like that's not what she was expecting. And then begins looking down for a moment. Okay.
Quite a delicious meal trapped in the vortex. If we could net some.
Okay.
And I'll lean in to Anne. Cookie told me we're down to mushrooms and some kind of vegetation.
She's lying. She looks to you. Master Thomas would know that that's a lie because of all the stock of roots that we brought on.
Actual vegetables and fruits. Raspberries.
Raspberries and fruits. What is Cookie's game? Never mind.
Perhaps
That's
she's
not important.
experimenting.
She wanted something from you. She's looking at you at this point in time. She just wanted something from you.
She does like you.
I looked down at my feet. Perhaps I was played.
That woman is smart.
Our jellies are delicious.
Yeah,
Alright.
minus the fact of Cookie outplaying us. This is an opportunity to increase the stock of different meats other than whatever Cookie finds
Let's make it happen.
on our ship.
Aye, sir.
I don't need the captain's permission to do anything along those lines. It's not going to be a detriment to the crew or the ship. And if we can make some way in which we can fish some of them in, then that would be beneficial for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Cookie has some recipes that will turn those things delicious. We don't need to bother Cookie with this. The look on your face tells me you have thought of something already. I can see that you're thinking. Talk.
Yes, if we, on the shield contraption that was discussed, if we attach some netting to the outward side of it, we can fish in some of the jellies.
A skiv on the starboard side. Alright.
Aye.
We have netting. We used it. Reach out to Gaz. Let him know the new plan. He gives nod to you. If you can convey this to Gaz, Kodrog and I can make calculations necessary to handle the oncoming jelly swarm.
Fern is
Very
going to
well.
be so disappointed.
Do you still want the firearms and gunpowder on the starboard part of the ship?
No, it all needs to be moved back. Reach out to your master and the gunner master and let them know to shift everything back to its original position. Plans are reverted back to a normal flight.
Fantastic. I'll get on that immediately. And he doesn't know what to do with a ship master, so he'll just do this motion and he'll leave. He'll back up and head down the steps and go meet Gaz first and then return to Maria.
Okay. Gaz is all on board with making the necessary adjustments. You see that he has been hard at work. His apprentices have been helping him put it together, and all it has to do is be attached to one of the front lookout bow, and then it'll fan out and go to make this kind of straight shield, and he can easily adjust it to be more of like a scoop.
Great. As he's explaining it, Thomas is giving him a blank look. He's listening, it's just he doesn't care. And he kind of nods and he goes, "Great, I have other business to do, so just do that." And then he
You do realize
Please.
you're speaking to an officer.
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Thomas kind of just look and he turns and he starts heading towards Maria.
You get to the lower deck where Maria and several crew members are currently shifting boxes from one side to the other. She's got her papers. That one over there, 122, that needs to go onto that side. 412 needs to come back to this side. This is what a 4 looks like. This is a 4. That one.
Thomas just kind of walks up behind her and goes, very politely.
She will look over her shoulder. Oh.
So, you know that plan of how we have to move everything? Yeah, they want us to move it back.
Who's they?
And the sailmaster.
Shit.
They've kind of changed plans. We figured out that we need to just have a normal course again.
She'll look at her paperwork. She'll look at the people working with her. Fuck. Okay. Take 412 and put it back where you got it, and put it back. Put it back. Put everything back. And they kind of stop what they're doing as they're lifting, moving, sliding. It's not hard. You pick up the box, you move it over, you bring it down, you tack a nail into the deck. That holds it in place. There's a lot. That's pretty much, but that doesn't mean it's not annoying because there's a lot of tack, you know. And so
untacking and everything too.
Yeah, strapping it down with ropes. So she just shakes her head. All right. Well, while you're here, go ahead and handle that side of the deck.
Gotcha.
Yep. Of course, when you go and form the master gunner, there's a flurry of large yelling signs saying, "What the fuck? We're supposed to..."
Yeah, Thomas just sees her hands going crazy, and he looks towards, like, Old Man Barnacle, and he goes, "Yeah, I don't know what she's saying, but I do apologize. This sucks for everyone, not just us. Not just you."
What she's saying is that she's not satisfied, and I'm using kinder words than she is.
She like does like this flash in her face, is like, just say what I tell you.
She's upset.
Clearly.
I'm going to go help Nibbly move the cannons now before I get my hair set on fire.
Yeah, Thomas pivots and goes back to helping Maria.
What the fuck?
I just imagine like all of the insults given to Thomas too during that whole spiel, and like other things as well. Like
these beep 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 tech officers think they can beep beep, and I'm running beep beep.
Yeah, lots of expletives. But Fern doesn't shoot the messenger. She likes you. You went along with her plan on blowing shit up, and it was fabulous.
I also saved her life, so
Even better. So,
yeah.
no, even though she's a master gunner, she doesn't shoot the messenger. So,
Yeah.
everything is set in motion. The necessary calculations are made. You all know what you're doing. And then it happens. You go along the edge of this vortex where jellies are trying to escape, and they're escaping perfectly into your makeshift nets. You're getting like tons of them. 2 barrels were brought out to store these jellies into, and it was filled up within the first 15 minutes.
Nice.
So fast that they started just taking the jellies, grabbing all of their tentacles, chopping the tentacles off, putting them in sacks, and then letting the rest of them float off of the ship. Because the tentacles are really the best part anyway.
Oh wow.
So, yeah.
It turns into basically a meat processing plant right there on the top deck. Cookie giving instructions on how to do the cutting and whatnot. And of course, someone like Larry going, I know how to use a knife, shut up. As he's hunched over.
While there, I am positive that if Thomas is helping out with this, there's some times where he's like, here, you can have this one gets to go free, this one gets to go free.
Oh no, it slipped out of my hands! Run, Jelly, run!
Exactly, and he's like, I wish I was a wizard and could call it back up. Like,
Yeah. So, like Ace said, you're right, those poor jellies, because, you know,
man.
this is not a PC world where
yeah.
shark fin soups aren't allowed anymore.
Yes.
Larry got a 6 out of his 9 on his awareness. He sees Thomas's actions.
However, he's not going to say anything.
No.
Because
You
Thomas
get-
helped him out.
You
we
get
did
eye
save his life.
contact as you do that, and Larry sees you, and you're very aware that he's done. You see, and he just turns
clearly letting one go,
turns
and he's
back
like,
to what he's doing, and he just gives a nod, and then he kind of pushes his jelly just away, and goes, "Oops."
Oh man. So I'll be helping process some of these jellies, but instead of like tossing the like body away, like for some of them I'll stick them in a pouch, because there's a old dwarven recipe for jerky jelly bodies.
Yeah.
jerky
Nice.
jelly
Or
heads.
maybe
yeah.
only cut off a couple tentacles, and it's like, I didn't have a great grip.
More zealot sailors, on the other hand, are
All
completely
about
involved
it.
into it,
Yeah.
into the cutting and releasing of the excess. Cookie begins talking about recipes. The mass of tentacles adds up quickly to the point that it almost becomes pointless to keep going.
Yeah, so it gets to a point where there's no more space.
No more reason.
No more reason. And
Yeah.
and then then they empty the nets of the rest of the jellies. And you all are on your way.
The ship, by the way, is swarmed with them.
Yeah.
By the time you leave the vortexed area, the ship made it through. By the way, Kodrog and Anne navigate perfectly. Everything was planned out. It slipped right on through. No questions asked. Get the other side. Open the sails up. There's jellies in the sails.
Everywhere.
They were
So
folded.
now it's
when you-
picking the jellies out.
So when you unfold the sails, they're inside the sails. The sails have been folded up the entire time passing through there. No idea how they got in, but they're there. You go to the bathroom. There's a jelly in the bathroom. You go to They came in through every opening.
Yeah.
They're like sand.
And that wasn't even the main cloud. The main cloud was still like several 100 meters away. So this was all of like the stuff that was making it out of the vortex. So you guys it was a lot of jellies. They were everywhere. And you might still be finding them over the next few days on the ship.
Now, for the most part, if you get close to them and they touch bare skin, they can cause a sting or a burn. But they're not Man-O-War style, where you're down on the deck just flopping like a dead fish.
You know, most of the people processing, they're wearing they're wearing gloves, so there's burnt, done. Dinner rolls around. After all of your hard work, Cookie has put those tentacles to good use. Now, when we say tentacles, we're not talking about big, thick, octopus tentacles and stuff. We're talking about angel hair pasta tentacles.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's how I pictured it.
So you all are served what is essentially a jelly ramen.
Ramen noodles.
There is... So, Kodrog, she was lying to you. She was just trying to get... Because there are eggs.
Peas.
These, these really thin, peppery kind of bits that are just, put in, sliced into everything. I mean... There's even a meat that's not rat.
Thin purple carrots.
Wow.
Yeah. Everything's it's like she's a real chef.
It's like she actually has skill. You
it's
just
like
need,
maybe she was actually trained in a Marseillan kitchen.
Oh, Thomas is in heaven then. He just kind of he does this look when he gets it and he goes, finally. Really silently.
It's absolutely delicious. Everybody is excited. Everybody wants to have seconds. This never happens.
And there are plenty of seconds.
So much. There's so much jellies. And as we go, this is almost like an event where you're not really going in shifts right now. Everybody's just kind of going in shifts to get into line again.
Yeah.
So it's like a skeleton crew outside, everybody in the deck, so, and everything gets switched out really fast, so everybody can enjoy what's going on. But then you notice she pulls something out of a storage bin. One of the cold storage bins. She pulls out this tray, tiny little cubes. She brings them over and they just jiggle ever so slightly.
Jello.
She explains.
I'll let you do it.
I don't know. I don't do the accent.
Oh.
I don't do the voice.
Tellurian jelly cubes made out of jellies. You have to finally mince them and add just the tiniest amount.
And raspberry puree.
Just the tiniest amount of cream, and then raspberry curd.
Yeah, raspberry puree.
Raspberry puree, and let it sit. You don't wolf it down. Oh, God damn it. You don't stick the whole thing in your mouth. You take small bites. Small bites. That tiny thing right there is the fork. You eat them with, you animals. Oh my God.
Half of the crew's just like...
Well, that was kind of good. Can I have more? No. It takes hours for this stuff to make. Oh my God. Oh
Meanwhile,
my God.
Thomas is probably the only one that's like,
just
so good. And taking delicate.
So sweet, so delicate. Oh my gosh.
Kodrog had shoveled half of it in before Cookie was like, no, you eat it slow. And then he savored the rest of it.
Nibley was like, bleh. Puts it back onto the plate.
Yeah. That's exactly how I imagined, Kodrog, because you were like, oh, I hate, shoveled half of it. And, imagine her saying it, and you're just, full of Jello in your mouth, and you're just like, bleh. And then you start eating it delicately.
Yeah. Good job, guys. You made this an excellent meal.
Yeah, I'm glad you came to visit me at the Bow, Thomas, because I had no idea what the hell was up there.
Well, I knew I had Void, and I was gonna do like monsters, and he used to have monsters. I don't think he does anymore, but like I wanted to like roll that too because it could have been something much worse.
Yep.
Because what I was thinking was it wasn't just a vortex; it was like a black hole of some sort in the void that was connected to some sort of dimension or other part of the void that had devious monsters in it. So, but my mind goes to the worst part.
Right. Apparently so.
All right. Well, we are out of time.
Well, no, we're not quite out of time.
We're not quite out of time?
Yeah.
We have some time? Because I know somebody's coming up right behind us, Bobby.
Yeah, I'm doing some messaging, making sure he knows that we're just about done, so he can jump on immediately after us. That way you guys don't go anywhere. You have to stay.
Don't go anywhere.
Stay. You have to stay here and hang
For the
out
after
with
party.
me.
Forever.
Forever and ever.
Forever and ever. Just keep looking more crazy as time goes on and make direct eye contact with people. Forever.
Forever.
And then soon we'll be in unison.
Nice. It's a, it's a nice trip back. Larry is in pain a lot and stays in pain most likely till after they even get back in support. There were no ghosts.
None.
Larry,
that we know of.
Larry was kind of pissed that it wasn't a ghost cloud here to take the vengeance on the captain and on Arthur and all of the rest of you assholes that didn't try to help me at all. So
I got tortured for nothing. I didn't get haunted. The ship didn't get haunted.
Yes.
He didn't scream loud enough. It's the screams that attract the ghosts.
Maybe he was actually scared of the ghost coming. Who knows?
I'm pretty sure they say that so that people don't scream.
Yeah.
I was gonna say if Larry brings this up in anyone's company, Thomas just would have silently gone. I would have screamed right after the third wave. So,
after the jellies, it's a relatively uneventful trip. You have jellies for days until you're almost sick of it. Except, it seems that Cookie has just been using all of the things that they bought from Spindelhaven, every single meal. So it's all been delicious. You had no idea she could actually cook.
There was a point in time you guys passed through a nebula that was filled with flashing lights. It was an amazing display to see. This is the part of the whole cruise that made this actually feel like some sort of majestic or amazing moment. When you see the brochure that says, join the Navy because we do crazy and amazing things and see awesome stuff. This is that moment.
Yeah.
Other times we're playing in whale poop.
Yeah. So you return to the Isle of Narak. The breach back into the isle goes relatively seamlessly.
It is. There's no weather near the isle's edge. The transition from outside of the isle to the inside the isle is handled smoothly. Kodrog, you are not responsible for that one. You are part of the crew setting it up and takes it over. You took one over on the way out, if I remember correctly. So she's handling the one in.
She explains that the going back in is always harder than leaving the isle.
And so that you'll get experience with it next time.
I take notes.
Going back into the isle, the ship actually has to almost belly up alongside of it. Like when leaving, it's straight on, full speed, pop, like the needle popping a balloon. This one is the needle rolls up alongside of it and just kind of gets sucked in. And you roll in. And one of the hardest parts, the more dangerous parts, is the ship coming in and then rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Rolling upside down.
But everything was
smooth.
Textbook.
Yes.
Or, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pulling back on the rock, the trip down the coast, wonderful, beautiful. Looks like it's a harvest season. The fields are filled with wheats and flowers.
Everyone is in a great mood. They're back. They're gonna get their money and they're gonna spend it, and it's gonna be great. There's actually members of the crew who have already turned in their resignation. They're not coming back because they're set for the rest of their life. That's how much money you guys got.
Cookie is also talking about being one of them too.
Aww.
I mean, she's got enough money she can set up a Bordeaux.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the voice.
Yeah.
I can't wait till we get back. I no longer have to cook for you heathens. I can open my own restaurant. I can have my Bordeaux, my Chateau de Bordeaux on the hillside. And then I can just have customers and I won't have to be out on a ship. Yeah, that kind of thing.
She can use real ingredients all the time.
Yeah.
When you pull back into bay, that's when a small dark cloud comes over everything.
It's not a dark cloud.
There's a ship, and not a small ship.
Hold on.
What?
So, because they don't get to...
Are we not doing that part yet?
No, we are, but you're doing it wrong.
I'm doing it wrong?
Yes.
Okay, then how do I do this?
Okay.
Oh!
You approach the port.
Okay.
You see, once again, the bridge, the lift bridge, is
it fixed?
It's in great repair. It's working
good.
perfectly. It's up at the moment because there was signals that the Amber Falls was approaching. You make your way closer, and you see, you're used to all of the ships that normally are in port, in Kadaf, and there's one that stands out. One that definitely is not... It's not only not one that would be here that you've seen before.
It's not local.
It's not even in the style of any of the local ships in the White Sword Confederacy.
It's large. It has a wide berth.
It looks kind of chunky.
More like a barrel than like a needle or a pen.
Yes. But it's shimmering and shining and it's reflecting sunlight. It's beautiful. It's
painted from top to bottom.
Yes, it's been whitewashed. The entire hull is whitewashed.
And it's a void ship. Just like yours.
Mm-hmm. And as you all make it into the actual port and you are going up to the docks, you see brilliant, deep, royal blue sails that are furled and tucked in, wrapped up.
Yeah. For the audience, this blue sails is due to a particular flower where the Republic of Porthian gets their material from for weaving their sails. They grow it immensely, and it all comes out blue. They don't even have to dye their fabric. It's all blue already. So they make all of their sail material blue. Blue happens to be one of their favorite colors. Their flags are blue. Their posts are blue. Anything worthwhile carries a blue and a white color. The Republic of Porthian's ship looks to be a transport vessel. A really bulky transport vessel. Not a war vessel. There is no gun ports along the side. It definitely looks like it has 3, 4, maybe even 5 decks to this void vessel. In a size-to-size comparison, the Amber Falls is long and lean and fast. This thing isn't. It is short, stocky, and round, and probably carries a lot of cargo.
And people.
A lot of people. At least 30 people can be seen on deck from when you guys are getting closer into the bang. Pilgrims of the Republic of Porthian.
And that's where we end it.
Nah. So wait a minute. Isn't the Republic of Porthian, aren't they like, oh, elves are terrible, we should
Yes.
exterminate them?
Yes, elves are demons.
Yeah.
And they have exterminated
Well,
them.
I mean,
How do they feel about dwarves?
Dwarves are just...
you're unfortunate.
It's unfortunate that you're not fully human.
Right.
Oh, right, okay.
It's unfortunate that you're not fully human. And if you believe what they preach as far as religion goes, they will learn to accept you.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that they're not fully dwarf.
I think that can we have that somewhere where someone says something to Kodrog and says that? Because I feel like Thomas would immediately just be like, well, it's unfortunate that you're not a dwarf. Like just backing up his friend, because that's just fucked up.
I don't know. These guys are here.
These guys are
they
here.
in Bay? Have they made landfall? How long have they been here?
These are questions that you'll have to find answers for on our next game session. Which will be in 2 weeks.
There you go.
2 weeks. 2 Saturdays from now.
Saturdays.
I might not be here
She won't.
in person, but I might be on the call because I might be going to Origins.
Ooh.
Yes,
Totally
I got
forgot that
a
was
really
thing.
great invitation, and as long as I make money this coming weekend, that's where I'll be. Max will be here, and hopefully
Yep.
I'll be able to get on a call with you guys so I can be there in spirit and start typing, like, secret chats to my fellow GM here to help move the story along.
Secret chats.
Yeah, because she can't do this.
I can't do that. So thank you everyone for joining us once again.
Yeah.
I'm Cassie.
I'm Max. This is Paige.
Hello.
And
that's
Goodbye.
John. And we are super duper excited for what's gonna happen when we go ashore. Yeah, so where can you see more of Max and myself? You know where? Over on our channel, original_box_set over on Twitch.
Ooh, we should probably put a link in the chat
Yeah,
that goes
somebody.
to original box set.
Exactly. And
I'm getting it.
Yeah.
you can find out what we're doing and where we're going to be, including the conventions that I go to on our website, originalboxset.com.
Yep.
And definitely check out what we're doing. We are working with artists right now to help bring the Shattered Isles to life. If you want to help us do more art, you can consider being a patron of ours over on Patreon. You can also do whatever you want. I don't know.
Yep. Go to check our website out. We've got a lot of other information there.
Yeah.
Our calendar is up to date. Tomorrow we're going to be running Shadowrun. Find out who lives, who dies, as the group has decided that this is not a milk run.
Yes, and they went in a little bit unprepared.
I wasn't going to say that. But that's...
No, I'm going to say it because I'm not a part of that. That means that I won't die.
Hey, at least I'm wearing a mask.
He's
There you
right.
go.
That's true. That's
Wore the
true.
mask this time.
Oh man.
I'm good.
Yeah, I think so. Paige, you wanna do something with something?
Sure, I can do something with something. I do something to something on my everyday life. I'm an artist. You can find me here at all these links. Mainly Instagram, because that's where I post all my pictures of my artwork. If you like it, please contact me. I will send you an original inked piece of art.
Yes.
Also, I do stuff here on Shadowcasters Network. I don't have my planner near me, but stay tuned.
Excellent.
That's all I have to say. I'm good.
John?
I'm out.
Yeah, join me on Wednesdays for my Let's Plays. Currently, I'm doing Civilization 6, but who knows what's going to be later. So tune in and find out. Check the calendar, because we'll keep details in there.
Heck yeah.
Yay!
Woo!
And you can watch me on Monday nights playing Besties vs. Beasties, where me and my bestie Sarah play Ark Survival Evolved and try not to, lose everything in the last 5 minutes of the show.
Yeah, but it happens.
This last one didn't. They actually survived. They started building a new place.
Oh my gosh, can I link clips in chat? I don't even know how that works.
Yeah, it's just
Oh, well.
Radio
Yeah,
can.
you
I know
can.
radio can do it.
yeah.
Radio.
If you want to link an invite to our original box set Discord, that would be awesome. Because I can't do it because we have videos on right now.
I don't know how to do that.
I do. Let's see if I don't know if this will screw things
It
up.
will.
It will.
I'm a totes noob, bro.
Oh shit! Yeah, see it does. There we go.
I don't know how to
But
do
that's
it
okay.
either. So
It's all dark in here. The
There we
lights
go.
are back on. Yay!
You can join us on Discord, where we have discussions about what games we're going to play next and how we're improving on the games that we're developing, like the Shattered Isles game. This isn't a completely original system that Max has been Max is developing the mechanics of. I stay out of it because I hate numbers, and
fair.
you know, I do the story stuff.
Yeah, but Cam, hang out. I talk. I ask questions. If you want to be like get your inspiration on stuff like that, that's definitely what we do over there. I think we're done.
I think we're done.
We're
Okay,
definitely
we're done. I'm messaging Bobby right now that we're about to end the stream, and he's gonna jump on, like within the next 5 minutes. So stick around, hang out. We'll leave the chat open, and we can just like type some stuff while we're waiting for Bobby to get his stream started because you want to watch Buddy Cop.
Do it. It's fantastic.
In the meantime, when you're not watching the Buddy Cop stream, before that begins, watch Hopeender, which is from the second to last Besties versus Beasties. In that is where Cassie and Sarah, they have fun. Just go watch it. I don't want to spoil anything. I do
Fun
the camera
and
work.
sad.
Tragic.
Oh yeah, so Besties versus Beasties is not a traditional one because Max actually runs the game and he does his best David Attenborough impressions, documentary style,
At this time,
narrating.
the clan of Cassi has evolved into ability to have boats and travel farther across the world, which means they have a greater chance of being eaten by sharks. That's going to happen. Stay tuned.
So you can enjoy that narration on Monday. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you everyone for sticking with us through some less than PC moments. We appreciate
Heck yeah.
you all getting invested in the story along with us.
Definitely.
So we will see you in 2 weeks, and gosh, happy gaming.
Happy gaming!
Yeah,
Yeah.
National Tabletop Day.
Pew!